The clapping ovation. Join me as I welcome Miss Priscilla Kolawole.
Hello everyone. Good morning. I'm happy to see everyone here today. Somehow I think I can even pass as some of you. I'll just like one or two persons. Now we're going to go back to the Sustainable Development Goals because everything we're discussing today is about Sustainable Development Goals. It's about development, but not just development, but development that meets the need of today and doesn't compromise the needs of the future. For example, you're still young people, and 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, you're going to be needing some things. And if we exhaust them now, how are you going to meet your need at that time? So that is what sustainable development is all about. You meet the needs of today without jeopardizing the ability of those coming in the future to meet their own needs. And so let's all open to this page of our material. We're going to go through all the goals, one after the other. When I mention the number of goals, you read it out. So we're students, we're young, let's be vocal, okay? So, are we there? Goal 1. I want you to be very sure. You're starting when we speak, okay? Goal 1. Goal 2. Goal 3. Goal 4. Goal 5. Goal 6. Goal 7. Goal 8. Goal 9. Goal 10. Goal 11. Goal 12. Goal 13. Goal 14. Goal 15. 16. And finally 17. Clap for yourself. Today we'll be talking about circular economy. But before going to circular economy, who can tell me what economy means? You must have taken economics in school, something. So can you give me, just in your own words, you don't have to define it according to the textbook. So your own words, what do you think economy is? Anyone? Is anyone willing to try? What do you think economy means?
Economics is social science which study human behavior that different between and past. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, someone else wants to try.
Economics are developed as a science that studies human behavior and relationship between end and stars and choosing between alternatives.
And choosing?
Between alternatives.
Okay, thank you very much also. Is there any other person who want to share? You meet your friends, people of like minds like yourself. Do you think we can do this? They tell you yes, you start from your school. Not only is it aiming to start at the very beginning, start from somewhere small. So you start from your school. In this school, we are not going to keep trash anywhere. Everybody, we're going to ensure that we have a very clean school. Now, this is not because the principal is saying so, not because somebody is going to punish you for having trash on. No, because you have made up your mind that this is a life worth living. This is a better route. Let us get this world better together. Because really, we're in a very bad time on planet where there's a lot of pollution going on, and the only way we can actually help ourselves, if we continue at this rate, it's going to get worse and worse and worse by the day. So we need to start doing something as young people. Myself inclusive, we need to start doing something at our own level, at home. When mommy is going to the market, you remind her, mommy, don't worry, we're going to take our bags from home. And then you pick the bags that you know you'll be needing in the market. When the woman gives mommy a nylon bag, don't worry, thank you, ma, we have a bag, put it in the bag. There are some things that you know that, okay, we might need nylon for this. You remember you have nylons in the house. The one that maybe somebody else brought from the supermarket. The one that somebody else. So why not pick those ones? Because if you look at it, nylon bags can be used and reused until some of them tear and go off. And even when they tear, you can recycle them. We have people who make clothing from nylon. You have people who make jewelries from nylon, that is recycling. You have people who make shoes like your sneakers, from plastic waste. So, oh yes, that can be done. So if you look at these things, then you just said let's find a solution to all of this issue. So those two girls, as I was saying, they're two young girls, 10 and 12, from Bali, and they told themselves, we cannot continue like this. So they started from their schools. They went to the school principal and this is what we have in mind. We do not want to waste anymore. We do not want people to use. They did this until they got to the level of the president, the governor of the state. And then, who knows the Secretary General of the United Nations? Have you heard of the United Nations before? Have you heard of the United Nations before? So the United Nations actually came up with the SDG goals. They are called the UN for short. And the Secretary General is like the president of that organization. It's an international body covering almost all the countries in the world. So they got to the level where the Secretary General of the United Nations became aware of what they were doing. And yet they started from where? Where did they start from? So if you just start from somewhere, you're going to be able to make progress. You just stay focused. It's not going to come easy. It's really not going to come easy. But if you're able to stay at it, this is what we want to do. This is how I want to contribute to my own quota to development. This is how I want to, go about in our home. I don't want us to do this. I don't want us to, some of you can actually even think about, now when you live here, I want you to research about biogas. I said you could get gas from where? Your subway. If someone said shit, we can call it shit gas. Sorry for that one. So imagine if you didn't have to spend about 700 buying a kg of gas, and you can just get it from the refuse that was produced in the home. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? I can't hear you. Does it make sense? So these are ways in which you can practice circular economy. And as I said earlier, we're already practicing it. We don't just really know so much, but we're already practicing it. And at this point, I know I've been talking, and I want you to talk now. So I want someone, maybe while I was speaking, you got an idea. I want you to just tell me what idea came to your mind and how do you think you can execute it? Be it waste, be it whatever it is. Maybe you even live in an environment where you see a lot of waste, and maybe every day you always complain. All these people throw their waste here. What do you think you can do about it? Anyone? Hello champions, you need to think. Does anyone have an idea? What do you think you can do about waste? No matter how little the effort is. Okay, should I call people then? Agriculturists.
You can use it as fertilizers.
That's good. Let's clap for her. So agricultural waste would generally decompose, and we can use them as fertilizers. Just as what happens most times, that done quite away, right? But do you know that that can be used to produce fuel? Did you know? Exactly. So it's an agricultural waste. Those are things that you can do with agricultural waste. Another thing we can do with agricultural waste is to produce fuel wood, which can be used for cooking. These are called, there's something we call briquettes. You can form briquettes. Briquettes are like logs, a log of wood, but they are made from agricultural waste. So instead of actually going into the farms, going into bushes to cut down trees, which is causing deforestation, which is becoming a problem, we can actually take agricultural waste. For example, shavings from wood. You go to the sawmill and you take all of those sawdust, all of those wood shavings, put them together to form bricks and logs for cooking. That is an agricultural waste. You can also, as you also mentioned, you can use agricultural waste for fertilizer. So you put all of those things together. The peel of yam at home, you don't dispose it, you put it together. the fruits that are decomposed, maybe you bought oranges and somehow one or two got bad, instead of throwing away the orange, keep it. All of these things, through some certain process, you can use them as fertilizer. Now you have a vegetable garden at the back of the house. You don't need to go and buy fertilizers. Those waste from the kitchen, the fruit waste, the yam peel, the banana peel, those things become fertilizers for the vegetable garden. So that is a very good one. That is a useful agricultural waste. Also, what do you think you can do with plastic bottles? I already mentioned that while we were talking. So who wants to say something? Something you would like to do with plastic bottles? Or you want to learn? I mentioned that you could use plastic bottles to make clothes. I mentioned that you could use them to make shoes. You could do almost anything. Mats, floor mats. Also, you can use tires to make aside shoes, you can use them to make floor finishings. You know what we call these interlocking bricks? You can use old tires to make that as well. So these are things that people are doing everywhere, and they're making very good use of waste. Because we already have too much waste. Before we start to reduce our waste, we already have too much in circulation, so we can find things to do with it. So these are things that even young people are doing them. And you are champions, right? You can do just about anything, but you need to conceive it in your mind first. You think about it. What do I want to do? How can I help my school? How can I put my school on the limelight? How can I do this? How can I do that? Should there be a waste challenge in Ibadan today? Would I have any idea to present? Do we agree that waste is a problem in Ibadan? So what if the government says, we're tired of this way? We need to do something. We need secondary school students to think, come up with very good ideas. What do you think you can do about waste? So this is something I want you, as you're living here today, I would still want you to think about it. Tell yourself, waste must not remain around me. I don't want waste. I myself am not a waste. God hasn't created anything to be a waste. So I'm not going to propagate waste. I'm not going to keep creating waste. I'm not going to keep bringing out waste. But maybe you should just do something and try. And I hope in the next 10, 20 years, when I hear about you, when I hear of you, you'll be able to say, yes, I'm working towards becoming a significant person. Please give yourselves a round of applause.
Okay, use your mind.
So, bottles can be used to make toys for kids.
Okay.
And if you cut it into different sizes, I need to make toy cars.
We have like 100 bottles available for practicals. So we are ready to do a lot of practicals alone, but in as much as we're also watching the time and managing the time we have. So your own point is coming from the angle of bottles, right? Like, okay, the another. Oh, sorry, my professor. All right, please let's clap for him. Okay, continue.
So I also watched the video, an engineer made a house. Bottle.
Yes.
Like, if Nigerians can, the house was very big.
Yeah.
Actually makes sense. And you can use bottles. That same bottle, you can use it to design your living room.
Okay. That same bottles we can use to design our living room, if only if we are going to adopt that kind of nature. Please clap for him. Clap for him. Yeah, now. That's good. Okay.
That's about.
Make it brief, your name, then what was the action point and your plan on circular economy?
My name is Deborah.
Okay.
My action point is nylon.
Okay.
Like when she said about reuse, that
Okay.
instead of disposing the nylons, we can take them to market to buy them, and instead of collecting from people that are selling, we can.
Use the mic. Okay. Yeah, I love your flow. I'm enjoying you. Yeah. Okay.
Instead of collecting nylon from the market woman in the supermarket, we can take our own nylon bags.
And tell them not to give you nylon. Don't worry, madam. Don't cause nuisance with those nylon for me. Okay, practically, how many of us? I know some of you don't go to market personally. You follow mommy. But how many of you plan telling mommy that mommy, stop collecting all this nylon? It's going to cause waste in our at home. It's going to cause waste for us in the kitchen. Eh? How many of us are planning to start doing that now? Let me see hands up. So I'm throwing a challenge now. There are two challenges I'm throwing. One is an assignment which you are going to carry in your school. Then two is a personal assignment which you're also going to carry on. And these assignments are going to be rewarded. So and awarded in cash and prize. So thank you very much. Okay. I think I have some things to give here. My agriculturist has spoken, my politician is here. Okay, how many chips? Let's hear from you. So, in the circular economy aspect, waste recycling and all, what is your main action point? What do you see? What do you feel in love with? What do you feel in love with? Like, this is what I want to embark on after this boot camp. This is what I want to do after this boot camp. This section, okay, what did you gain in the last section? Let me ask you that.
I gained that.
Like, what is your own interest in this? I want to talk.
Use of nylon bags.
Okay.
She talked about using nylon bags.
You mind closer to your mouth?
She talked about using the nylon bags to make interlocks.
Okay.
So, for example, these people that are expecting, so they can use the nylon bags with other materials to build interlocks and sell to them.
Please clap for us. But
I really appreciate that aspect. I had an experience in 2020 when I traveled to Germany. You know, in Nigerian mentality, you believe anytime you are buying something of 5 naira, they must give you a cellophane bag. So when we were going for shopping, I just heard that my mates were having their carrier bags or having a backpack. I was like, so when we got to the shopping store like that, I was expecting them to put all that I bought inside the carrier. So like, I know, after paying, they just shifted it to me. So the guy said, no man.
How do you see yourself now? Inside your package. They told you to pack your stuff yourself.
After paying, they just shifted it to me. You know, in Nigerian mentality, I will go to a boutique to buy wares. They have to put it in their customized bag. Now that's the day. Maybe I visit you now. We went for a conference. So somebody gave me a bottle of water. I took it to my hostel. She has to call me on phone. Dr. Lama, please, can you return my bottle as a bottle killer back? I know, if I should take like 10 of it to the store, I will be given something euro like that, and that can buy something else. So she said, everything is by recycling here. That the water we are drinking came from recycling. I said, you don't mean it. So I just say that, so Nigeria can get there. If we can inculcate that habit, that sometimes you see people fighting. Everything I love, everything they will just leave.
Exactly.
Our mentality needs to change.
Exactly.
Like that. Thank you.
And when you are keeping it, there are ways you can store it. Okay, I did the celebration earlier this year, and when they finished, there were a lot of, they consumed a lot of bottled water, a lot of drinks. And when people said they were feeling, I said, please, for Christ's sake, I mustn't see any of those bottles thrown away. Let me keep those bottles. Let me keep everything. My bee officer is there, she knows me. Keep all of those bottles. She will just like, sir, what are you keeping these bottles for? A time is coming that these things are things that you can even earn some certain amount of money from. Currently, there are places you can sell it. If you have a large stock of it, there are places you can sell it to. So, if you've been seeing all this waste stuff around, and another thing is the way we dispose of waste. try as much as possible to separate. Maybe paper, you can separate your paper from your plastic and just ensure everything is done in a neatly manner. And we can do the whole story is we also have to reduce and avoid the use of all these waste products. You can avoid creating waste in the environment. So I'm going to take the last speaker before we have our break.
Different type of waste like paper and plastic. Because plastic can be used for one thing and paper. But if everything are together, we Nigerians we are lazy to start.
Okay, please.